Hello, welcome back to another episode of Greater Talk, where we have real conversations that help you grow into your greater self. Today's episode is incredibly personal for me because I'm joined by my counselor, Carla McCormick. Carla has been such a light in my healing journey. She is a licensed professional counselor and a proud Louisiana Tech graduate of class 2003. With over 2 decades of experiences in the field of mental health, she has spent the last 8 years serving clients through her private practice in Shreveport, Louisiana. Specializing in addiction recovery and emotional healing, her therapeutic approach is rooted in compassion, clarity, and the empowering belief that changing your thoughts can truly change your life. She worked closely with clients to reduce emotional pain, challenge self-defeating beliefs, and move towards the life filled with greater purpose, confidence, and meaningful connection. Carla, welcome to Greater Talk. I'm so excited to have you. How are you?
Great. Good morning. I'm wonderful. I just got back from vacation, so I'm really good. I'm happy to be back and kind of antsy to get back to the office and see everybody again.
I'm so excited for you. We need that reset. So you sound like you're ready to get back in there, and I'm excited for you. Now, I'm going on vacation, not to make you jealous though, okay?
Okay. Well, you have a great vacation.
Carla, today we are diving into something many of us carry quietly, and I like to call it the little girl within. We are talking about the childhood wounds, identity, shame, healing, and how we can begin to reparent ourselves with some more grace and compassion. This is not a blame game. Today we are simply becoming. So, Carla, are you ready to jump into this?
Let's go.
Okay. Like I said, I'm super excited to have you here. I
That
am.
makes
I love it.
and
I hope I don't cry.
yeah, you can see my face is smiling so big right now.
I'm excited too. I'm excited too. Okay, so Carla, one of the first things that we ever talked about in my sessions, I think it was kind of early on, and it was how we can carry invisible wounds from our childhood, even if you don't even recognize them or remember them. And I want to share something personal with the listeners here. And I know for a fact I shared this with you. And is I grew up in Homer. It's a small country town. I grew up, up the road from my cousins, my grandmothers, my aunties. And growing up, I heard this certain family member. She would tell my cousins and I when she got so frustrated with us that y'all not gonna be nothing, y'all not gonna amount to nothing, y'all gonna have babies, it end up just right here. And I didn't even recognize that talk as being trauma. It wasn't until I got pregnant in college, and I was 21 at the time, but I got pregnant and I honestly thought my life was over. The moment where this life event I thought was the end. And it was the little girl just reliving those words that were spoke to her growing up. And I was scared, of course, ashamed and just really hard on myself when I found out I was pregnant. And for most of my pregnancy, also, my cousins remind me. It was just that trauma. And even when I thought that, hey, I did graduate college and I was ready to tackle the world, and I thought that, okay, now I have proven that I'm just not going to be down there and not do anything. But what it did was that trauma, because I did not recognize it, it turned into me dressing it up as professionalism and people pleasing.
Hmm.
So I wanted to have this conversation with you, and I wanted to ask you because a lot of people don't know how to heal the little girl. They don't even recognize the little girl. So, what are some common signs that someone may be living from unhealed wound from their younger self?
For me, what I've experienced and what I witness is people use the word trigger, and that I believe that word's kind of overused. But if something small happens, something little, right, and my
Mm.
emotions around that are really big, then that's a pretty good indication that it's not about the thing that happened. It's about something else that event triggers from our past and usually from our childhood. I think I've told you this story before. One evening I'm making spaghetti because at our house, when we make things like spaghetti sauce, we make a lot so we can freeze it so we have leftovers, right?
Yeah.
And someone comes in and they say, "Why are you using that pot?" And what I hear and what I've learned, that what I hear in that statement is little Carla hears, "Why are you using that pot? What's wrong with you? You idiot, you stupid. Don't you even know how to cook?"
Mm,
And immediately, just from "Why are you using that pot?" all these
yeah.
emotions came up, right? Because that's what little Carla heard, so then that turns into, "Well, I don't know, it's just the pot I chose. If you don't like the pot I chose, that then then you cook the spaghetti. I can't ever do anything right. Nothing I do is ever right." Right. And then it turns into this big whole thing. So people ask me, or people come in and they say, you know we have the stupidest fights about the littlest things, because it's not about the thing. It's about
Yeah.
what that thing, triggers. So, I did some work on me. And then next time, why are you doing it that way? And I'm still triggered, right? But now I recognize the trigger.
Yeah.
I breathe, I pause, and I realize where it's coming from. And my response can be something like, "Well, I don't know. It's just the pot I chose. Oh, hey, did you forget we bought this big pot at Home Goods when we were shopping Saturday?" "Yeah,
Yeah.
totally forgot." And see how though little recognizing my trigger, not blaming me, not doing anything, changes all the events that occur after that. And that's
Yeah.
just a little kind of snippet that happens, quite often. I mean, I hate to say every day in people's lives. People say, "Oh, I just go from being regular to immediately angry." That's something happened, right?
Yeah.
Something was touched. Something was tapped in, from the past.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that totally makes sense. And my heart hurts because many people just what happened is they have been able to mask it, right? They've been able to go from 0 to 10 and then calm down so fast that they don't even process the reason why this keep happening. And for instance, you can bring that over into a relationship that you really want to work out, and just because you haven't dealt with the wounds, you don't know how to properly communicate now. So it's like a domino effect also.
It is definitely a domino effect, because then that goes into, "Well, you never listen to me," or "It's not the
Yeah.
words, it's just your tone, and you don't care how I feel." The other person is kind of left going like, "What just happened?"
Yep.
All I was trying to say was, "Let's use this bigger pot or this different pot." I mean, and it's a silly story about a pot, but I mean, when I'm working with people, it's not the pot or the pizza or the electric bill or the milk. It's what's going on inside of you. And
Yes.
I would challenge people. I would say, if pay attention, because if the event is small and the reaction is big, that's a tell that there's something else going on.
Yeah. You did share that story with me, and I love that story because I can relate to it. It's relatable. Like,
What
it has happened in your childhood, it has happened in your life where you have seen someone go, I call it 0 to 10, and you like, "Whoa, what just happened?" But that person has that trauma that they didn't deal with.
Well, and so how do we talk? How do you deal with trauma? I mean, first of all, you just have to recognize it. For me, I'm being super sensitive about being criticized, right?
Yeah.
Because, little Carla didn't feel like she did things right. She wanted to please, she wanted to do all these things. And, we can go back and we can blame and we can be angry
Yeah.
and we can say, "Well, I should have had a better childhood and my parents should have done this." Yeah, maybe, but that's not what happened. And
Yeah.
here we are. So me being angry, me blaming, me doesn't help me today. But what does help me today is recognizing, poof, I've had a lot of emotion around a little bit. What's that
Yeah.
about? And what do I need to do to fix it? And a lot of times, Amy, it's just recognizing. I think you've heard me say the power's in the pause. For me, it's a different emotion than and it overwhelms you. And so all of a sudden I have this rush of emotion. If I can pause and just breathe and go, okay, what's that about? Where's that coming from? And just kind of take a minute. Then, even if I don't really know what to respond, my response can be, I don't know. This is just the
Yeah.
pot I chose, or I don't know. This is just the way I did it. Then I'm still calm. I can still have a normal conversation with whoever I'm talking to. And then a lot of times I can just, it's kind of just like a little speed bump that I can just move past without it turning into this big whole crazy, you know, fight or whatever, discourse.
Let me ask you this, okay? Because I want to take a moment to go back to the root. When someone thinks about trauma, they may think about like an event that took place that was, traumatic, something that changed their life forever. But sometimes it's just what we didn't receive that can still be trauma. So I want to ask you, can you explain how early childhood experiences, both trauma and unmet emotional needs, can show up and affect you as an adult? Because I want to make sure people know how to identify it, but also if you do not tap into this and correct it, what are some of the outcomes that can show up and how can they really be affected?
The outcomes are bad. The outcomes are addiction. The outcomes are people pleasing. The outcomes are lack of emotional control, anger. It's kind of hard to do by yourself, I mean, you
Yeah.
can, but a lot of times you need, I'm not saying you have to have a counselor. That's great. I mean, that's my job, but a trusted friend, a pastor, someone who's kind of been on that journey ahead of you. And childhood trauma can be anything. It's being neglected. It's not feeling heard. It's not feeling valued. It's not necessarily the time something tragic happened. That's trauma too. But trauma can just be, the day to day. No one ever talked to me. No one noticed me. I was told to, to go to my room. I never knew what was going on. I never felt valued. So trauma is anything I think changed you in the way you think about yourself, change the way you think about other people. I can't tell people what they went through is trauma or not. Trauma is a feeling.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I like that. That was deep, Carla. Go back to that. I like that. Trauma is a feeling. You can't tell anyone their traumas. That's
right.
that's very deep.
Well,
Because see, I've been taught, look, and I've done some studies, but I
right.
I guess I never broke it down with my trauma may not be your trauma. It's just how you feel when you in it and you know.
That's and I think that's exactly right because something that would not be traumatic to me can be
Mm,
very traumatic to you.
yeah.
And I don't have the right to tell somebody, "Oh, just get over it. You're being a baby." No, that's not even that a big deal. Why are you making that such a big deal, right? But that's the kind
Yeah.
of thing sometimes we hear when we're kids. "Oh, quit crying and just get over it. That's not a big deal. They didn't
Yeah.
mean to hurt your feelings. You got to toughen up." the
Yeah.
little the little insidious kind of day-to-day kind of things can still be trauma. And I'm not one of those therapists that kind of goes, "Oh, you poor little wounded child, let's feel sorry for you, and you had this most traumatic horrible childhood, and this is just your wounded inner child," right? I mean, I
Mhm.
get it. We all have a
Yeah.
wounded inner child, but
Yeah.
my goal is not that we sit with our little wounded inner child and we feel sorry for her and we baby her. It's like I want people to recognize where the emotions are coming from, right? Where's this is
Mhm.
real, this is how I really feel, and then figure out how to move past it. I think sometimes people they go back and they look and they say, "Oh, poor little thing," and then they get stuck there. They don't ever move past it, Amy. And I think some therapists kind of, I hate to say this, but they don't help. We go back, look at the trauma, and then we feel it again.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to sit in it for a minute, but then we got to move past it because we're not
Yeah.
that wounded inner child anymore. At least I
Yeah.
don't want to live as an adult wounded inner child.
Yeah.
I want
That's why it's super important. okay, to find a therapist. Like, I needed you because I need someone that's gonna sit me down. Okay, we're gonna talk about what happened. What moving forward, what's going on? What we gonna do? This is how you heal it. And that's you so straightforward. I tell you this all the time. And that's what I need. Like, I needed someone that matched me. I'm crazy enough, Carla, after our sessions, when the little girl Amy shows up now, I'm talking to her. I know this literally sounds crazy, but I'm telling her, girl, we good. We got stuff to do. Let's go. Stop being scared. Stop thinking about what other people are going to say. God has given you this purpose. So when I show up, even when the little girl Amy want to tap in and be like, girl, who you think you are? I'm so in tune now. It's like, girl, I'm bad. Check my track record. Like we going in this room, we belong in it, and we about to own it. I was gonna blend this question into that because what I have noticed about women, okay, and the pressure to be quote unquote strong and handle and tackle everything, we will carry that and it'll still be so many emotions that we really just don't even know how to start therapy, or we don't even know where to begin. So what would be your advice to that person listening, like, I don't even know where to start or if I need to go to therapy?
Um, well, your therapist goes to therapy. So let's talk about what therapy is. Therapy is a relationship between you and your therapist, your counselor. And it's not about the therapist, or it shouldn't be about the therapist telling you this is what you should do. A therapist should just help you find you, because I believe that we all have the answers and we all have the knowing inside of us, and it's my job as a counselor to help you tap into that knowing. You know what's best for you, Amy. I don't. I don't know
Yeah.
what your dreams, your goals, your desires. You can tell me. I believe everyone has that. It gets clouded, it gets lost, it gets buried under drugs and or alcohol and our life, our
Yeah.
relationships. But what does therapy do? That's what therapy does. It's not a therapist telling somebody what they should do or what they shouldn't do. It's helping them find that kind of inner voice and that inner spirit. So, like I said, sometimes a pastor, a priest, and whoever, a spiritual leader can help people do that. Sometimes a good friend can help you do that, but it's finding someone who can kind of help you and guide you, because I can do it on my own, great, and there are times that I
Mhm.
can, but there are times where I just get stuck and I'm stuck in a loop and I think I've got it and then I don't, and then I think I figured out and then I don't. If you find
Yeah.
yourself just kind of the same fights keep happening over and over, the same breakdowns in relationships keep happening over and over, the same start and then fail keeps happening over and over. You're stuck in a loop. That's when you need to go talk to someone else to be able to say, you know, help me see this differently. Help me think about this differently. Give me a different perspective on what you hear and what you think from what I'm saying. And that's basically what it is. It's someone else offering a different way of thinking and a different perspective.
It really is. What saddens me is when I walked into your office, I felt like I was supposed to be happy because in reality, I'm happily married. I have a very amazing kid. I have family support. I had everything. I felt like I had every checklist, the success in my career, the success in entrepreneurship. At the time, I was pouring out motivation, inspiration, but I felt like I wasn't at 100%. So it would have been easy, and it took me a while to come to the road. Like, hey, you need to talk to someone. Actually, Greg, my husband, he was like, Amy, you need to talk to someone. And it was times throughout that journey that I'll just go crazy and girl, like, Amy, have you when was the last time you talked to Carla? So he's like sending me, he's like sending me to you. But I was blessed to have that support, you know? So it really hurts me and bothers me when someone think like, hey, I can handle this myself. It's not a big deal. Like, I'm supposed to be happy.
I think that's kind of our culture. Do what
Yeah.
makes you happy. Be happy.
Yeah.
Happy is an emotion, right? I can't be
Yeah.
happy all the time. I can be grateful. I can try to be grateful all of the
Yeah.
time or most of the time. I can be calm. I can be relaxed. I can be a lot of things, but I can't, for me to just be happy, that's not realistic. You can't say, oh, I just want to be happy. You have to do the things that make you happy so you can feel the emotion of happiness.
Yeah. I had a close friend tell me, Amy, you asked me what makes me happy. And because I've been a mom so long and I lost myself, I don't even know. So many people just simply don't know what makes them happy. So how do you find that? How do you rediscover yourself after you have done some of the healing work and you can't answer that question, what makes you happy?
Well, one of the things that I like to do, and this is not original for me, I don't even know where I got it, but one of the things
Uh-huh.
that I like to do, and anybody can do this at home, is make a list. On the first column is, what do I want? Like, what do I want out of life? I always say, when you wake up 10 years from now, when you wake up when you're 30 or 40 or 50, what do you want your life to look like? What do I want? And then just list them down, but you can't put, I just want to be happy. You have to
Yeah.
put, oh, I want a different job. I, want a better relationship. I want to be closer to my kids. Whatever that is for you. I want a new car.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
do I want? And then the next column is, why do I want those things next to those
Mm,
things? It's an
mhm.
ongoing list. What do I want? And then, why do
Wow.
I want those things? I realize that when you do the next step, why do I want it? Maybe I don't even really want those things. Maybe I just think I want those things, or I want those things because, well, my sister got a new car and I really like it and I want one. But do I really want one? Is it
Yeah.
is it really
Mhm.
important? And then the third column is, what do I have to do or change to get those things? And then you realize where you're going. I ask so many people, they say, I just want to be happy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is happy? And they don't know. They don't know the answer to that. And I don't think I can get somewhere if I don't know where I'm going. What's my goal? Why am I
I like
doing
that.
this? And just because I think I'm supposed to do it, or it's just because what everybody else does, or it's what somebody told me I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You have to be in tune with who you are. You really do. Just die down the world and the noise and really know yourself. That's when you're able to properly take the journey of healing. And I used to think, being naive, that, okay, if I'm going to do the inner work, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to have anxiety. It's just going to take over like my emotion. But you still hold space for joy and for growth and just simply becoming your greater self. Like, it's a process. I tell everybody, Carla, I don't care who I'm talking to, who I'm coaching at the time. When I walk in the rooms doing the keynotes, I always make a disclaimer. I am not perfect. And I know I'll never be. I make decisions that's not perfect. But in order to take time to really dive into yourself, that takes courage. It takes courage.
It definitely takes courage, because then you have to look at the part of, what am I doing that's making me unhappy? What am I doing that's
Mhm.
self defeating? What am I doing that's causing problems in my relationships? And people think, if I open this Pandora's box of childhood trauma or emotion, then it's just going to drown. But it doesn't work that way. It works exactly the opposite. It's kind of
Mm.
like, once you shine a light on it, it gets smaller. It all of a sudden, now I'm in control of it instead of it being in control of me. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the deal, right? We
Yeah.
want to be in control. We know that we have this stuff that happened, and we know that we have emotions about it. And that's okay. But we want to be in control of those emotions. We don't want those emotions to be controlling us.
You shared so many good things. Carla, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your truth, your wisdom with us today. And to every listener, may you give yourself the love you need back. May you rewrite your story with grace. And may you never forget, you are worthy, you are healing, and you are becoming. Carla, before I let you go, I want to ask you this question. And I like to ask this at the end of the podcast. What key piece of advice would you give someone that's simply on the road to becoming their greater self?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to fail. Just be brave. Have courage.
I love that. Carla, I know it's someone out here. You know, I pass you along all the time. I tell everybody, go see my girl Carla. Just go try one time. But tell us how, if you have any socials, how they can follow you, book with you.
Well, you can follow me on LinkedIn, just Carla McCormick, LPC, and just call the office. Always accepting new clients. People say, "You still accepting new clients?" Of course, I am, because the goal is to have a new client and graduate them and let them go back to
Yeah.
life. Not to keep them around forever. And just walk through the door. The hardest part's walking through the door, and I think you will find it's not what you think it is. It's just a conversation like this, really. Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you, Carla.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.